Welcome back to another episode of the Autonomy Pods. We have Jenny on today. Now, Jenny has a lovely story we want to share with you today. Jenny's now just moved into her maintenance phase, or like the fifth phase of our Autonomy 6 phases. And now, Jenny, me and Jenny have known each other for quite some time, and we kind of want to explore why she started, how she started, what type of results she got, and some of the things that I know that you guys will want to know about how she got to her goals and how she was managed to achieve that. So let's dive right in. Jenny, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, really good, thank you. So, just to start things off, why did you reach out to us, and why did you want to get into amazing shape?
Honestly, I've been on the fitness journey. I've tried fad diets. I've done everything since about 2013. This was before Autonomy, where I got a personal trainer in the gym group, and that's where I met you. So I lost all the weight, but what I didn't do is keep it off, if that makes sense. So I didn't have the knowledge what I do now to be able to keep it off and for long term. So I started my journey in 2013, and then I actually moved to Canada 2 years ago. So I moved to Canada 2 years ago, and I was actually in shape before I moved there, but then you can't go to North America and that's it. Like the food portions are so big, and you just didn't know how to control it. And I was just at a point where, you know what, I'm here for 2 years. I really want to enjoy myself. But it is a bit of a mindset, because it's weird how all my clothes still fit me, even though when I look back at the picture, which I'm sure one of us will show online or something, where the clothes still fit. So I was a bit like, oh, this is really weird. I'm obviously not put on that much. But now once I joined Autonomy, I look at where I have come from, and it's been an incredible journey. And being in the maintenance phase now is such an accomplishment within itself for me, physically and mentally.
Yeah, it's often that way, isn't it? Especially with having been to North America quite a lot. It's really, really difficult. Like, yeah, sure, most places in America do still have like calories on meals, but it's still like, once you get a portion, or once you get just one thing on the menu, it is your whole day's worth of calories. And it helps you, it helps you in one way, kind of understand calories, but at the same time is that because portions are so large, and because you go out quite frequently, there's always that case of that normally you end up going over, or it's just massive.
Exactly.
So it's always a very difficult.
This video for a very, very important announcement. I want to invite you all to our Facebook group. We have a 6 Phase to Forever Facebook group, which is a part of our coaching process that is free, that you can get lots and lots of value on a week-to-week basis. I go live once a week. There's plenty of content in there, and there's always special bonus material if you're looking at getting in shape, or how to stay in shape forever. So if you are wanting that, the link will be here somewhere, and then also it'll be in the description. So guys, see you there, and you get to see my ugly mug on a week-to-week basis.
Yeah, it's like once I moved back, I think that's when you had started Autonomy, literally at that point. So it was like the perfect thing. And for me, it felt like, I know it had become such a big thing, this online coaching thing, compared to having a personal trainer. And but yeah, I joined you because obviously we had a past, like I've known you for so many years beforehand anyway. So for me personally, I chose a coach that I didn't feel uncomfortable with, even taking progress and before and after pictures, and being able to be comfortable with a coach that you're actually friends with as well. Because I never wanted to have a coach where it's just a coach and that's it, like a normal personal trainer you see for three times a week, for example. They've given you a diet plan at the start and that's it. Whereas with having an online coach, it just helps me. Like, I can message you whenever I want. I think there has been points where we can agree that you've been more of a therapist than an online coach. But no, it's been an amazing journey. So I'm so glad I joined at the start. And yeah, I think I've seen you progress, Autonomy progress, because I feel like I started when it was literally just you. I think it was literally at the beginning. And to see how much you've progressed as well just shows that it does work. And the fact that you've got so many coaches now and so many clients, I'm so proud of you, honestly.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. It's like mental from both sides, because like when we first met, that was my first ever personal training job. I'd just come out of university. I was trying to stay in London at the time, trying to still do like work, but I needed somewhere to go. So I went to the gym group in Wembley to start my PTing. And that was just an eye-opening experience of how lots of personal training is done. And then obviously now is like, I think you were one of my first clients that came on board when I started Autonomy, but it was like still doing it out of my parents' back bedroom.
Yeah.
And I was still working out of there, trying to, I was just moving into my own flat. Moving on my own, didn't really know what was happening apart from that fact that I had this dream or had this goal that I wanted to kind of have my own business. And then now again, like you've progressed at the same rate the business has, really, where you've now come into a place of your own, and you've seen that journey, which is awesome. So like when you first started, like what type of goals did we have? Like did we set a number of kilos that you wanted to lose? What was our driving factor?
So for me, I think for us, we looked back at when I had lost my weight the first time in 2013. And I know that I was at about the 45 kg at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved the way I looked. I was so confident. And I think when I started with you, I put on so much weight. I think I started at 62 kg. And now I'm like, as of today, today is one of my check-ins, and I think I was 45.9 today. So, but yeah, no, I started at about the 62 kg, and it's just been a journey. Like at first, I did find it hard to try and understand how am I going to do this without having Nathan in my face. But it has been an interesting journey, and it's mentally as well. It really gives you so much willpower, and from where I was to now, it has been an incredible journey, definitely.
Yeah, that's amazing. So like, just give the listeners just a bit background on like what you do. Obviously, when you move back from Canada, what do? You still live with your parents? Like what is the kind of environment that you're in the moment?
Yeah, so I actually still live. I moved back from Canada. In Canada, I was living alone. I was renting, living alone, doing my own thing. So it was a bit of an adjustment moving back last year. I landed back last year, August, moved back with my mum and dad. And it has been a journey in the sense where what I thought I was going to find hard when I had joined you and reached out to you, I think that was the first step for anyone, is being able to reach out to someone, whether it's mentally for mental health reasons or having that, you know what, I do not like the way I look right now. And I think joining at that point when I landed, I literally think I joined you straight after I'd returned back from Canada. And I just felt that was the right time now. This is a new chapter in my life, a new journey again. And I wanted to start it the right way. And it was hard, but if anyone wants to join Autonomy, it is a mental thing where you should definitely keep people around you that are such positive influences. I'm lucky that I've come from an Indian family when everyone knows what Indian food is like. It's like you cannot go wrong, right? But it is, the way it's cooked is not a good thing. Like it's just full of oil, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I am blessed that I got a job as an estate agent. I've been in the property business since about 2016. And if anyone is in the property industry, it's very long hours, 8:30 to 6 o'clock every single day. So being able to I have to owe it to my mom. Like my mom does help me, but again, you still got to make sure that even though she's helping me, I need to make sure, okay, mom, but I need this much oil. I need this, I need these many grams. And that's where I go back to the positive people in your life that are supporting you. And my mom knows, okay, now I'm living off Apatina paneer and chicken. And she literally has written down, I should have literally brought it upstairs. She's written down how many grams of veg and rice and this and that. And it just made the journey to get into so much easier because I had that support at home. And that's where it all starts, right? And the food is always going to be the 90% food and 10% workout, right?
Yeah.
And but yeah, even as working in the industry and as an estate agent, yeah, you're out and about doing viewings. But again, even like you mentioned about the steps, like steps is literally, I've realized how important it is now. Do you know what I mean? Like, but no, it's been good. And I feel like at home, I've had this support, and even at work, I've had this support. Like, if anyone is an estate agent, you know, you literally work through your lunch. You're just on the go, 8:30 to 6 o'clock. Whereas when I got the job, I actually told my manager, look, it's in my contract for an hour lunch. I'm actually going to take it. And every hour I make sure I go for a walk around Richmond. I'm lucky to work in a really nice area and just getting in my steps. So I think I'm definitely holding myself more accountable since joining you.
Yeah, no, it's massive. And I think that environment that you have, it ultimately is a prediction whether you're going to do great or whether you're going to have a lot of friction. Like, we speak about it a lot, don't we? It's like, if people are around you have that positive influence, then you're really, really blessed. You see those people that don't have that positive, those parents that are kind of resistant to helping, or the traditional Indian food is not like always part of their food intake, so that when they change something about what they do, or they have something that is a little bit different than the norm, and there's a lot of kickback, which is not always the most positive thing for some people who are unmotivated or unconfident. So to be able to have that family, that work, that coaching, that kind of puts you and helps you survive the process, which is hard. A diet is hard to do. It's really, really, really important. What type of stuff does your like? I know that your mum like helped you with the cooking and stuff like that, but like, what other stuff have you noticed during the journey that they've helped you with, like mentally or physically?
As well as taking my progress pictures for me every week. My mum's always there. She just knows every Sunday at about 10 o'clock when I wake up, she's going to be there with her camera to take a picture for me. So it's just little things like that. Like, she would literally make sure she doesn't make any plans, because otherwise I'll have no one to take my pictures for me. But apart from that, like, they've been supportive in even seeing the difference. Obviously, people who you've not seen for ages are going to see it a lot more, apart from instead of someone who sees you every single day. But like my mum and dad have been such support, especially even my immediate family. They can see how where I've come from and where I am today. And I think it is the confluence, and it makes you feel more confident knowing that, wow, other people can see it. And I feel like all that hard work, all those tears, I'm sure I've sent you voice notes of me crying. I was like, Nathan, I can't do this anymore. But it's really been a journey where I can honestly say, I look back and I'm so proud of myself. And for someone to be able to say that is such a big thing to look back at. And it has been hard. I'm never going to tell anybody that the journey is easy, especially the fat loss journey, as you can imagine, like complete calorie deficit. And it is hard to not be able to eat as much as you want to, but you also learn the calories so well that you know that you're still filling yourself up, even though your calories aren't that high, because you're eating the right things and you're always tracking it on FitnessPal. So, but support-wise, my family has definitely always been supportive, and they know that if I can't eat something, they'll make sure I go to a restaurant if we're going out for dinner, for example, which hasn't always been the case. There's been a case where, I better choose a place for myself, and then there has been times where they've allowed me to choose, so I know that I can eat something by looking at the menu.
Yeah, so let's talk about that, because obviously that's something that we've worked on a lot over the journey. So let's talk about, like, okay, so before you started, you'd go to a restaurant. What would you pick? What would you look at now? And then obviously, like, fast forward to now, especially during the dieting phase, what were you looking at? What did you learn? And like, what type of changes did you make to that thing that you were doing before to what you're doing now?
Yeah, like for me, it was, you don't look at the menu. You look at the menu to get, oh my God, I cannot wait to eat all this. I'm so hungry. This is before I started the journey. And you're just like, oh, you know what? I'm just going to get my usual, my chicken fingers and my chips and, but you don't really look at the calories. Luckily, I feel like restaurants themselves, like Wagamama's, for example, all these other restaurants like Nando's, they put the calories now, whereas I don't believe a good few years ago that was ever the case. So that sort of stuff does help. Whereas when I used to look at the menu, it was only because, I can't wait to have that dessert and wait to have this. Whereas now I look at a menu, and what you've taught me definitely is, okay, but then you need to plan what you're going to have and stick to it. And I'm not going to say I've done that before. Like, there's been times where I have struggled and I've ended up eating more or eating more than I said I was going to eat, if that makes sense, and choosing something else in the menu. Like, you know what, it's fine. I'll just have a bite of a chocolate brownie, for example, But, and that's where the feedback comes in. I'm sorry, I'm going a bit off track, but when it comes to the feedback that you do every Tuesday, for example, it is one of those, like, you get suddenly so motivated that next time I'm so on it where I'm tracking it and making sure it's not guesstimating, you know. So I always make sure I look at the menu now and make sure, okay, I have to have this amount of protein and this amount of veg, for example, or a rice, for example, if there isn't any veg, but most people have veg anyway. So it is just about making sure that if I do go somewhere, you know, if it's an Indian restaurant, like chicken tikka pieces and like veg, for example, or even a salad. But I have learned that healthy isn't always healthy. Some people will go and eat and think, I'm going to order a Caesar salad, for example, which is like 600 calories. And you're like thinking you're eating healthy because you're eating salad and greens. But realistically, when you look at the calories, you could have easily got like a chicken pitta, for example, and it would have been less calories and a lot more healthier, but healthier in the terms of like the calories, because with you, for example, we're only looking at calories, right? And it's a calorie deficit and just doing the steps to make sure you're doing more steps than obviously what you're eating. And I think that's what I've learned a lot, and I just never noticed it. Even like a snack, you can have like a handful of peanuts, for example, which is more calories than just having like a small black, you know, dark chocolate, for example, piece. So we'd rather go, you know, there's a lot more flexibility joining Autonomy, definitely.
Yeah, then so like it's a big. I remember some of the times that we had when it was like more like a course correct. So like, you know, for example, one of the times I remember was when we'd gone to I think it was like a Lebanese or a Turkish restaurant, and you were like, I'm going to choose the chicken and the veggies, and I was like, okay, cool, fantastic. When you do it, just take a picture, or I think you put it on Instagram anyway because you're quite active on those side of things. And then when you did it, I was like, oh, okay, so what you chose is that you chose like the meat and veggies option, but you'd gone for like more of a kofta and more of like a mixed meat instead of just like the chicken breast. And that's a large, it's like in the direction of where you want to go. It's a really good choice. Like that's much better than like having like, I don't know, a dessert, or having like, you know, loads and loads of bread on the side, or having loads of rice with it. But still there would be that discrepancy between the difference between what a kofta was and like just a chicken cheese. So then when you were having those things, you're like, actually, you know, do you realize that the mixed kebab type of kofta will be like, it basically, it'll be more calories because it's basically either chopped up lamb or it's like really probably chicken thigh meat all condensed together to make this lovely juicy kofta, which is, they taste amazing and they're great, but they come at the cost of the differences in calories. So I remember one of those times being like, oh, did you realize that this is a little bit more than the normal stuff? And you were like, oh, it didn't even cross my mind, because in your mind, you're thinking it's protein, it's great, it's healthy.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, hang on a minute, there's a difference between healthy and there's a difference between low calorie. And then I think over time, what we got to that point where instead of your mindset was like, I'm going to choose the healthiest thing on the menu, it became, what is the lowest calorie? What's the education I need around the lowest calorie so I can make a great decision whilst I'm out? So, you know, a lot of people get pulled into that low sense of security, where even so, like, I think it's like, for some people, depending on what their like version of what healthy is. You know, I've got some guys who will go and say, I'm just going to have some, you know, meat from a mixed grill. I'll just have a mixed grill because it's healthy. I won't have the bread, I won't have the rice, but I'll have the mixed grill. And it's like, okay, well, you had 2 lamb chops, you had some koftas, some chicken breast, and some like cubes of lamb. And it's like, that is great protein and all, absolutely fantastic. But there will be a significant amount of calories that come with that. And healthy, like, I always like to use the expression, you can still get fat off lettuce and avocado. You know, avocados, for a whole avocado, is 350 calories ish. If most salads may come with half of one or one of them, you have the oils on top, you have like a little bit of seasoning, and you're starting to add this thing up that would be in your mind healthy. But obviously, if we're looking at, you know, dieting or fat loss, it's a different story altogether. So I think that was one of the biggest points, I think. And over time, what generally happened is that you just you refined it time and time again, didn't you? Like, it was like, okay, cool, I did this. How do I get this better? Okay, cool. Next time we'll do this, and then next time is this. And I think that's the really commending you in terms of your mentality. That, you know, over the course of the last near enough a year now, it's been like, let's try and improve. But then when you got the feedback, you were like, yep, you're right, we could do that better, or you could do that better again. We could do that better again. To the point now where you go into restaurants, you don't really need my help. You know what you're going to choose. But it's more like, okay, like now,
literally as little as I had a choice basically to get 2 chicken breast skewers, or one of each, like the kofta and the chicken pieces. And in my head, I'm thinking, oh, it'll be fine, I'm sure. But if I didn't make those tiny, it's not a mistake, but if I didn't make those tiny adjustments from what I told you I was going to get, then I wouldn't have learned how to be where I am today. Whereas, I'm fitness telling it, but I do know that at the start I was constantly, Nathan, I'm going here, help me choose what I want. Whereas now I'm like, Nathan, I'm going to eat at this restaurant, just to let you know this is what I have chosen. When there's sometimes where I don't even tell you, because I kind of know already, now that I've reached the maintenance phase, that this is exactly what I'm going to have.
Yeah. So
it is an interesting topic to talk about, really, about how important the calories side of things are compared to how much protein you're getting or carbs. I genuinely feel like I've lost all this weight just by steps and working out and just eating within the calories that you told me to get.
Yeah, and that's kind of like the evolution of your journey as well, of how you processed and progressed throughout that process. So talk to me now. So like you're in that groove, you're dieting, you're doing your steps and training. How did the process like start to unravel? Like what happened when you were losing those 5-10 kilos? How did that make you feel?
Honestly, it made me feel incredible, and I know that I can work out more on the fit. Like I know I can work on the workouts. I feel like because I work so long hours, and I think we're still at the stage where we're trying to figure out, okay, make sure you wake up an hour early to do your workouts, for example, instead of doing it after work. Apart from that, the steps and everything, just seeing the progress. This is why I love the whole process of the check-ins. And because every Sunday, for example, I take my pictures, and I think I sent it to you. I was randomly looking at one of our first ever pictures when I first started. I think it was and it has been actually a year, because I think I started on the 31st of October last year. And I was just like, Nathan, what is this? And in your mind, though, last year I didn't even think that I looked like that. It doesn't mean that I look bad, but I was just like, wow, and then I look at what I am today and the difference, and that does help. The moment you start seeing changes in your pictures, especially, and it motivates you more to continue. Like, oh my God, it's working. We'll keep doing it. I'm going to keep doing it. And by now, it's just become second nature. Even getting 15,000 steps, even though you've put me in maintenance phase down to 10,000, it's become such a mental thing for me to be at 15, that even though I hit the 10,000 so quickly now, that I'm still like, I might just do a little bit more. It doesn't mean I want to do more to eat more, but it makes me feel good to be able to even have that still. So it's been interesting.
Yeah, so with steps and stuff like that, it's one of those where if it makes you feel good and you're able to do it, then that's absolutely fantastic. And we want to get everyone into that position of where the more steps that they can do incidentally, like, oops, I did 15,000 every day, or oops, I did 12 and a half, or something like that. They're the ones where most people that do that are going to stay in shape for life. There's some really good research to show that those that do 10 to 12,000 steps on a day-to-day basis regularly without like forcing it are the ones that stay in shape long term, just because you're more active, whether that's because you're more active, so then you have a better mental health, or it's because you're actually more active, you burn more calories, which then means you get to eat more, so you don't put all on the weight. It's probably a bit of both, but steps is one of those where I noticed that for me, when I do mine to a higher degree, it just makes you feel great, and you get out more, and you're out in the air. I mean, that here in Dubai is warm and stuff, so it's nice. But in the UK, you kind of go out in that cold, or you go out in that that morning breeze or whatnot. It wakes you up, and it's a good way to start your day.
Yeah, it is. The weather's even getting worse than I started last year when the winter was coming, but I still had to be like, no, I still have to make sure I get my steps in. So again, I genuinely think it's all about holding yourself accountable. And even though it helps having you, for example, there to hold me accountable, because when I do my check-in, I'm doing it in a way as well as to please myself and be proud of myself. I want to make you proud, because you've been on my journey for a year, probably know more about my journey than anyone else in my life right now. So No, it's definitely been, it's just amazing, honestly. I'm so glad I joined, and I don't have anything, I'm full of confidence, to be honest. So,
Yeah.
and I owe you a lot. I genuinely owe you a lot, because losing all this weight and stuff has really helped me mentally and my mental health as well, because everyone has mental health issues. And, I'm not afraid to say I've had some terrible mental health issues, and going through depression and going through stuff where you just didn't want to live. And the fact that today I can say, well, like, I'm so proud of what I am and so proud of how I look. And it's just crazy to think that when you start doing things for yourself and taking away the outside noise, for example, losing the weight helped me become so much more confident. Like, as well as crazy as it sounds, like even just going on dates, for example, or joining a dating app. And, because I feel confident, I'm more confident to go on these dating apps now and put myself out there, for example. So it's very interesting. It has definitely opened up my mind, and mentally as well as physically.
Yeah, it puts you into a position of where you're in the driving seat, as opposed to like just living on external validation or whatnot. It's like you're doing something for yourself. And a lot of people find that when they do start like a fat loss journey or a journey like this, it's like it's probably the first thing that they're doing for solely themselves for such a long time that it feels quite weird to like, this is for me. I'm doing this type of food for me. I'm doing this for my confidence. I'm doing this for myself. I'm doing this for, the joy. And when that becomes like that evolution of like, oh shit, like I'm in such a good place with myself right now, that becomes a really good anchor to be able to do it long term as well. So like staying in shape long term instead of going through those patterns of high and then low as well. So talk to the people about, when now we're at that point where you've just about finished your fat loss phase, and you're thinking about maintenance, and you're thinking about going into this like next phase. Like what kind of goes through your mind when we got to that goal weight that we got to, and what were the thoughts around the next phases that you had?
Yeah, so obviously it was amazing when we hit that stage where, oh my god, like, yes, I was going into the 45s during the week, but the moment we hit the 45 goal, it was such an incredible journey. I was so proud of myself, and I was like, oh, I think it's time for, well, you said, you're like, Jenny, we're going to go into maintenance phase, but for some reason I was so scared to go into that phase because I was so used to the fat loss phase, like what I was eating. And even like, because for the fat loss stage, my aim was to make sure that my weight is always down until I get to my goal, right? Whereas the maintenance phase is, Jenny, don't worry, you've got like 4 kg weight. So I've got like between, as long as my weight's between 45 and 49, I think we've agreed on. Then Jenny, it's fine, but keep getting in your steps. It's not like anything in that side has changed. I'm still, yes, my calories have gone higher, and it does. In the beginning, when I did, I think it's only been a week or 2 weeks I've been in the maintenance phase, and to be able to eat more food, I was like, this feels really weird. Like, you're just like eating, but you're like, oh, but then, tomorrow my scale weight's going to be like 46, 47. And like, it is an adjustment, definitely an adjustment to be like, all right, Jenny, you're going to start eating more calories, for example, but you're going to get, you're going to get in your steps. You're going to have that 4 kg leeway between 45 and 49, for example. And I'm still getting used to it. And I know that the maintenance side of things is just making sure that you're still eating correctly, still hitting your macros, for example, and the calories, but also doing it in a more healthy way. Whereas I think last time I had lost weight, I put it on straight away because I didn't understand what maintenance was. Whereas getting in the steps and still doing my workouts and still just making sure that I'm following the structure that you have provided me, as well. It is weird. I mean, the maintenance phase, it is a bit like, oh my god, Nathan, I've gone 2 kg. For example, my birthday went beginning of the month, and I'm like, Nathan, I've just gone up like 4 kg, and you're like, yeah, it's fine. But then it was just like, I was just about to start maintenance phase just after that, I think. And it's hard to get used to, but I think I've slowly gotten used to it now, to eat more. And I feel like this is a lifestyle that I can actually keep, instead of obviously in the fat loss, you're like really low in calories. Whereas now I feel like, actually, you know what, I can maintain this weight now for a very long time because I know what I need to do to maintain it. And the fact that your motto, for example, would be that I'm paying you to get to a stage where I don't have to pay you anymore because you want me to go and do it myself, right?
Yep.
And like I'm slowly getting to that stage where it's like, oh my God, like there's still a long way to go with Nathan, but I'm going to get to a stage where he's not going to be there. But obviously I'm still going to be WhatsApping you. But yeah, like being able to see where I came from and where I am today, and that I'm in this stage is such a big thing for me. Like this phrase, for example, of maintenance.
Yeah, it's a really difficult phase that a lot of people mismanage because they don't have that leeway of body weight that we spoke about. Because, like, just for example, for the listeners, what happened with Jen is that we were hitting the target of like 45, and it was her birthday the week of. And obviously, there's a rule around anybody that has any type of brain cells is that you don't diet on your birthday and you enjoy your birthday weekend and you have a nice time the way that you should do. No body weight, no specific body fat is ever strong enough or good enough to not enjoy your birthday for. So by having that time away, by having those niceties, the body weight will always come up. But because we set that goal of staying between a 4-kilo ranger, you're able to like kind of see that jump up, not freak out, not go back into a diet, and just go back into a normal day, like it would be tomorrow, even if it wasn't your birthday. And your body weight drops off incrementally because of that, because it's just a spike like normal. So that range of body weight is a really useful tool for most people, literally everybody, to be able to not get too overloaded by seeing the scale weight jump in a one-off occasion. Because in a maintenance phase, there will be birthdays, there will be alcohol, there will be niceties, there will be, joyful things, because you're meant to enjoy food, you're meant to enjoy lifestyle, you're meant to go to birthdays, have a few drinks, you're meant to go to weddings, have a few drinks and some food. So if we don't account for that spike in body weight, a lot of people will just get stuck in that mindset of like, shit, my body weight's gone up, I need to go back into a diet, which is then it just falls you back into that diet mentality, and then you end up moving around until you just feel like you're living to be that body weight.
And that's what it is.
No, we spoke about it as well, is that whilst the body weight target of getting to a specific body weight is great, up fat half a kilo or up a kilo, it doesn't change who you are. It just changes the relationship between you and the scale. Like if you're up a kilo, you've built so much confidence during this process. You've built so much like great like mental side of things and physical side of things. If you go up a kilo, nothing really changes. It's only just the relationship between you and the scale. So if you can get to a point where it goes up a kilo, but you continue doing your normal day to day, you'll be absolutely fine. And that's really just that barrier. So, if you get towards that 4-kilo endpoint, or you go over it, then you start questioning, okay, why have I gained 4 kilos? Why have I gone too high? Is it too close? These things that will kind of lead you to being like, oh, maybe if I gain 4 or 5 kilos, maybe I need to pull it back a bit. But until you get to that point of gaining the 4, then you can be okay. So it's just living. It's like just living with some standards and living with the body weight being in that position. Talk to us about like what did that mean for like your social events? What did that mean for like the difference in food methods that we've been utilizing most recently? We used a different method, or maybe you can go into it. We used a method during the dieting phase right at the beginning with like the framework diet, and then now we're using more MyFitnessPal stuff. How's that been for you?
Yeah, so for me with the FitnessPal, like I'm guilty of I've never really used it. And I've only actually started using it when I started the maintenance phase. I had that framework when I first started, and it was so like, Jenny, you are going to stick to this. This is what Nathan said. This is and I did. I totally stuck to it. And obviously that's where it helped me lose my weight. But as we progressed and we started seeing, oh, Jenny, this is what you can do for calories, and just keeping in mind of the calories, it doesn't mean that you're so strict that you can't enjoy yourself. Whereas now with social events, it's like, okay, so if I do want like ice cream, for example, just make sure you check and just plan ahead. So that's what it is. And being able to plan ahead, like today, for example, let's just say I'm working up and I'm going to plan my day. What am I going to have? Is anything going to happen? And then I also, for me personally, is I also make sure I have a leeway, like, oh, what about something unexpected happens? What about I'm on this Zoom call right now, and then later on when I finish, I'm like, oh, by the way, we're going to go out for dinner tonight. You never know, right? So I've always planned my day in advance, but I've also managed to plan it in a way where if there are any changes, it doesn't affect me mentally. Whereas before, when I was in the fat loss phase, I was so mindset that I would purposely not even have a social life because I didn't want to move out of what I was eating, meal prepping wise. Whereas now it's just become so second nature that if my mom, for example, said, "Oh, we're going to go out for dinner later today," and I didn't know that was going to happen, I would automatically go, my mind would automatically go to the menu, automatically figure out what I'm going to get, and then put it into my Fitness Pal. I'm still learning about Fitness Pal more, like, especially when there's no barcode, for example, and trying to learn how to take the average of, anything like that. But all in all, I think I've just become more aware of how to progress with it. And the Fitness Pal, obviously, it's going to be, even though I'm in maintenance phase, now I'm at a stage where I'm going to keep using Fitness Pal until I get to a stage, and that's my other goal, until I get to a stage, for example, where I don't need to use that because it's just second nature. So that's what I'm currently working on, is just, yes, I'm using it, yes, I'm tracking it, but I do want to get to a point where I don't need to track it because I'm so used to knowing what I'm going to eat and what's good and what's not. Everything's good in moderation, don't get me wrong, but it's just, I just want to get to that stage, but it's going to be a journey still. It's been a year, so I just don't want people to think that this is a quick fix, that you're going to see changes in 2 months. Like I said, I've been with you for a year and I'm still here. So.
It's like that. It's that whole the reason why it's called a journey, the reason why it does have different phases, because you do learn things at different times. So the reason why we use that kind of meal plan approach, or like give you some structure at the beginning, is because we want to give people routine. We want to give them structure. We want to give them, this is how you kind of get results straight away. But like the thing that you're experiencing now is that whole, you're just using a different method. You're understanding food. You'll be able to track it. You're able to like play with the numbers, bit like budgeting your finances, but a little bit more liberally. Whereas before, I would liken it to there's direct debits coming out your bank account for everything because it's really structured. Whereas now it's like you choose whether you give 300 to your ISA or 300 to your investing or 300 to your social life, whatever it is. So the eventualities will be that you won't need us ever again. You will stay in shape for life, and then you will be in a position where the food method that you want to use will be so fine-tuned that you won't need to use any tracking apps for a period of time if you don't want to. Like, there may be points in the year, maybe 3 months of the year, where you choose to do it, so that if you know that you've got a holiday coming up, you might just tweak it a little bit. But outside of that normal day-to-day life, you shouldn't need an app to tell you how many calories you're eating or how many you should eat. You should go based on internal habits and what you've created for yourself. So when we get to that point, then that's that is true autonomy. So that would be really, really good.
Yeah, and it's also like what you're just saying about how to, like, okay, I'm going to split my, like, let's just say 300 calories here, 300 calories there. But then I have also learned that if I knew I had a social event coming up, then I know, okay, Jenny, you're going to probably eat or need more calories for dinner, for example. So it doesn't mean you're starving yourself in the whole day, but I've learned you learn to be like, okay, so maybe I'll tweak my breakfast to a bit lower, let's say 100 calories less, or 50, even 50 calories less, because you're kind of just trying to keep it so then you can enjoy your social event, right? So that's another thing that I've learned, where if I know I'm going somewhere, it doesn't mean I'm just going to completely starve myself until then, but I have learned to be like, okay, you're going to have to give up the 99, like, I'm obsessed with Twiglets, by the way, guys.
Yeah. So
I'm obsessed with Twiglets, and they're 99 calories. So if I know that I'm going out somewhere, it's like, do I really need the 99 calories? And that's just a snack, like a Halo Top ice cream. I don't need the snacks. Half the time, the snacks, yes, they do get me through the day, but if I know I'm going out, then I don't need to focus on that snacks. And you just kind of tweak your day, right? I'm going to add this, I'm going to remove that, for example. If I know I'm going to have so much for lunch, then I'm going to stop myself from having an extra snack, for example. So it's just giving and taking, right? So you're still not really the next day on your scale weight gone up 10 million times,
Yeah, like we use that mentality of like the give and the take, and it's a method of where I think it applies to like just life in general, is that there'll never be something for free ever. So if we can get into that mindset of like, okay, you've got a bundle of stuff here, if I take 50, you need to give 50 to create equilibrium. So when you are in that mindset where you are looking at maintenance, you are looking at going out for dinner, and you know that it's going to be more calories, then what are you going to take from your day to make sure that you balance out? And equally, if you haven't had enough in one area, where can you go and get from somewhere else to make sure that you do balance out? So it's that give and take mentality that often it's not really a first world / new generations taught process, because not everyone's taught like, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this, but they're not taught, oh, to be able to have this, you need to do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And I always liken it to like trying to get like a nice material thing, like a bag or a Lambo or a car or a house. Is that as you know, is in a stage, and in order to get a house, you have to put savings away for that. So it's like that. The give and the take is obviously, the give is I'm going to give £500 a month, put into a savings account to be able to accumulate this wealth over time to get this deposit for the house, so that you can then have the house. Whereas a lot of people don't see that with food. They just think they can take and take and take, and then not be ramifications. Where if you have that mentality where, if I give this amount, I take this amount, or I give it and then take it and then give it and take it, and then you create this balance in between. And over time,
what's helping me right now, definitely that mentality, definitely.
It's really powerful. So I think that's a good place to kind of leave the podcast. But before we finish, like, what has been one of the biggest learning curves that you've had to go through to be able to get to the point where you're at right now?
Yeah, for me, it's just dealing with the calories and understanding the calories, especially like we have mentioned previously about healthy is not always healthy. You look, and automatically in your head, people will think that a salad's more healthy, or nuts, for example, are more of a healthy snack. Then, for example, I go for a rice cake in my as my snack, and it's just what I really believe that I've learned is steps. I've become so active, and I love that. And it's just incredible to see that you don't have to go to the gym. You don't have to go to the gym. That's one thing. I've lost all this weight by not even stepping foot into a gym. This is all being done at home. So that's another thing that's like incredible to know, that you don't have to go spend £150 a month at a gym when I've literally done it at home. I could have probably hit my target more quicker by going to the gym, because it's just all there, the weights and everything. And I'm still working on toning myself up. But that would be one of the biggest learning curves for me, is being able to know that you don't have to constantly do so much cardio or HIIT training. I have learned that I can pacefully walk and still lose weight by walking, but learning the calories has definitely been my biggest learning point in this whole year so far, is learning how to control food, moderation in food, what's healthy, what's not healthy. But I genuinely also feel like everything's healthy. You just have to figure out how you're eating it. If I know I want a pizza, I'm going to have my pizza, but I also know that this is how much calories one slice of Pizza Hut is going to be. So I definitely learned that I don't have to completely shut myself off, and I can still have fun while looking great, for example.
Yeah, 100%. That's such a good way to put it. So, Jen, thank you very much. Obviously, I've actually just got your check-in and your audio message. So I'll be speaking to you on Tuesday. But thank you very much for coming on the podcast. And here's to the next 6 months of building you up to the where you never need us again. And that's going to be, the best part about all of it. We're going to kick you out, and you're going to be absolutely fine on your own.
No, I love that. Thank you so much. It's been an amazing journey so far, and I'm sure it will continue to be.
Yeah, no worries. Well, thank you very much.
No worries. Take care.